Hey, you guys, I wanted to make some clarifications. I had some people asking me questions about yesterday's training regarding systems, streamlining, and organizing. So I wanted to put together a quick video for you to go over those. So let's shoot over and do that. All right, so one of the questions was, where is the marketing systems? Where is the clinical systems? I know that this may not all make jive perfectly with your reasoning and things, but that's the whole point of you getting training and coaching from me, is that you're learning to how to really run a business and how to do it in a successful way. And it's not always done in the customary traditional way. Customary traditional usually leads to failure. Over 80% of all businesses lead to failure. So if you think the way most people do, novices do, even intermediates do about business, you're going to fail, because it's actually like 83 to 87% of businesses fail. So why would you follow the same way of thinking that leads to failure? So having over 7 clinics and really embarking on a national project is just an indication of success. And so that's why I'm coaching, that's why I'm teaching. So, but there's your traditional departments, marketing department, billing department, administrative department, clinical department, financial department. You can think of your business in departments, but that doesn't work because that leads to failure 83 to 87% of the time. So let's go and shoot over. Let me show you this chart. This is the same charts that I showed you before yesterday in the training, but I just kind of put it all on one thing. So for example, I talked about before you start systemizing and streamlining, you have to get organized. So, and organizing means getting into organs. So here's the organs here. If you remember, this is the organ, and so the 2 organs categories. I mentioned this. I didn't have it on the graph, but there's organs that you oversee, and then there's organs that others oversee. So for example, the ones that others oversee, you're going to have 3 organs over here. You're going to have the team organ, you're going to have the legal organ, you're going to have facility organ. Now within each of these organs, you're going to have systems. And I didn't really go into these because there's only so much I can do in 1 hour. But I went more into the organs that you oversee. The 2 that you oversee are communications and cash. Now, I went over those briefly, but covering the most essentials. But the question is, where's the marketing system? Where is the clinical system? Now, what I'm going to say is, it's going to take you a little bit of shifting your mindset, but the marketing system, if you remember what I said, is I don't like to think of marketing, because when you do traditionally, conventionally, and healthcare really sucks at it, marketing is always trying to get new people, trying to get new patients. And that's the wrong way of thinking. The way that leads to the greatest success is think about how you communicate with new prospects, but more importantly, your active patients and your past patients. But really, if you want to talk about marketing, we're really talking about communication. What's the best way to communicate with people who don't know about you? Because when you start thinking of it that way, you actually start to really put out language and content, and you start to go where people are, the kind of people that you want to attract. And communicating, when you think of, how do I communicate with people who don't know about me yet? But it's not only about that, because the majority of your best clients and the majority of your spiky growth will come when you really start to communicate better with your active patients and your past patients. And then also employees. That was part of the communications, which is super important too. But that's where the marketing is. I want you to start thinking about marketing and thinking more about what are the best ways to communicate? What are the things to communicate about to not just new people, but to your active patients and past patients? And then the question was, where is the clinical system? Okay, well, once again, I know that you like to think in terms of traditional conventional, but traditional conventional is not going to bring you to this kind of success that you're wanting. You want to make over $200,000 a year and work 20 hours a week. In order to get there, I mean, I'm hoping that's where you want to be, because that's where I'm trying to get you to. But if you want to get there, you can't think traditional convention, because the traditional conventional private practice owner, they're making $80,000-$90,000 a year, you guys. I'm not joking. That's the average income of a typical private practice owner. So, and they're working over 40 hours a week. So why would you follow the same model? So where's the clinical system? I leave it up to my team. My team is the clinical system. Let them run it. Now, you want to make sure that they don't waste time. So the way that they don't waste time is the documentation. And documentation is actually not part of your clinic. I know that traditionally you think documentation is part of clinical, but for me, documentation is part of the legal. And the reason why this is important is because when you start thinking about documentation as being part of the legal organ, when you start thinking that way, you start to understand that you're only going to do what is legally required. That's how you cut documentation. You don't want to spend a whole bunch of time because it's all BS. A lot of it is BS. When you're in the insurance model, a lot of it's BS. Medicare, it's BS. So when you start to really understand, because that's how you streamline, that's how you cut the fluff, and that's how you cut out time that it takes, is you get it to the bare minimum of what's legally required. And when you do that, you succeed. So that's where the clinical system is within the organs of the legal organ and within the team organ. That's the clinical system. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. I'm going to be shooting some more videos, just supplemental instructional videos included in this particular session. I'm going to be adding some more things, but otherwise, I will see you guys February 6th. Those of you who are not signed up for that, click below, get signed up for it. All right, bye.